And today we are really just saying hi to each other as the mutual committees of jurisdiction between the chambers. And the intent is to have a conversation about different policy, priorities, thoughts, wishes, things of that nature. Yeah, it's at least what we kind of discussed. Sure. And Dave, any ads there?
No, welcome in. It's great to have your hospitality in such a large room. We don't have
Used to that
luxury on our side, but we fit in nicely.
Yes, no, absolutely. We're getting moved in a couple of weeks too.
So I hear.
Short-lived. Well, it's actually been long. We've been in here longer.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we could have one of our joint meeting spaces for a long time.
Yeah, you know, yeah.
So it might make sense if your chair is willing to just kind of go around the table and introduce each other. I'm Brian Collmore. I represent the Rutland District. This is my 6th term in the Senate, so my 11th year. I sit on Senate Agriculture Committee in the morning and obviously Government Operations in the afternoon. I had 8 years of service in Gov Ops earlier under a very able chair, Jeanette White, who has since retired. And I also spent 8 years in the ag with Bobby Starr. So those are sort of my 2 areas of experience, if you will. Yeah, let's just go all the way along.
Okay. I'm Representative Lisa Hango, Franklin 5. I live in Berkshire on the Canadian border and represent 4 rural towns. I'm the vice chair of House Government Operations and Military Affairs. I'm also a co-chair of the National Guard and Veterans Affairs Caucus and the Rural Caucus. This is my 2nd biennium on this committee. Came here from General and Housing when Military Affairs and Liquor and Lottery were their jurisdiction. So happy to work with you all.
Hi, I'm Sandra White, and I represent the Windsor County District. This is my 2nd term on government operations, and my other committee is transportation.
I am Michael Morgan, a regular committee member of Government Operations and Military Affairs in the House, and I represent Grand Isle Chittenden District, which is Albert, Islemont, North Hero, Grand Isle, South Hero, and the northwest corner of the town of Milton, which is where I reside. And it's my 2nd tour of duty in government operations and military affairs.
I would feel bad following you because I'm from Burlington.
Just a voluminous guy, Bob.
Going right down, except for the blip with Becca, you're going right down the coastline here.
Well, we'll skip to the other side. I'm Windsor 2, BL Coffin, Windsor 2, and I'm Cavendish, Weathersfield, Baltimore.
I'm Senator Larry Hart from Orange County.
I'm Shay Waters Evans. I'm a representative from Charlotte. I also represent part of Heinsberg. It's my 2nd term. I usually sit over there. I'm the ranking member of this committee, and it's nice to have you all in here.
We love being invited back to the public.
Yes, I know. It's fun to sit here.
Yeah, it's a different perspective, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Allison Clarkson, also Windsor District. I served in the House for 12 years and I have served in the Senate. This is my 9th, beginning my 9th year in the Senate. Brian and I served together on Gov Ops for many years, for 6 years together. And so it is a pleasure to welcome him to the chair, for which he is ably trained. And it is great to meet together. We do a lot of stuff together. So this is a great, it's a great beginning.
Rep. Mary Catherine Stone of Burlington. This is my 2nd term, and I am the newest co-chair of the Veterans and Military Affairs Caucus, along with Rep. Hango.
Gee, I can't imagine why.
I can't imagine why. You're on Gov Ops too, yeah.
I'm on Gov Ops.
Because you were on education last too.
Oh, yes.
So we're talking about other committees. I'm chair of Senate Economic Development, Housing and General Affairs in the morning. Sorry, and you're, that's
here.
right, you don't have morning and afternoon.
And I'm Jay Hooper. I represent the 5 towns of Brooksfield, Braintree, Randolph, Granville, and Roxbury. This is my 5th term. My 1st term was on Ag and Forestry, my 2nd and 3rd Education, 4th and now 5th Gov Ops
And military affairs.
Kate Nugent, I represent a portion of South Burlington, which includes the Guard base actually, which is a nice connection, I think, with this committee. This is my second term being on government operations and military affairs.
Representative Matt Barron, Chair of the House Government Operations and Military Affairs Committee, going into my fourth term. Did my first 2 terms with Representative Hango at House General, out here at the same time, so we've done our entire tenure together. I represent Addison 3, which is Ferrisburg, Virgins, Waltham, Hampton, Addison, and about a third of New Haven.
I'd like to introduce our committee chair as well, our committee assistant. Sorry, maybe you'll be a chair someday. Jillian, the chair.
Promotion.
A very able committee assistant.
And our committee assistant, Autumn Crabtree, is over here guiding us through the portal to the YouTube. So thank you for driving that for us. So just conversation about some policies. We're trying to figure out, we have a bunch of bills that you have to do year over year or every 2 years. Conversations around an elections bill. There's always an OPR bill, stuff that we always have to work through. Traditionally, the charters start in the House as a rule, but it's definitely not a hard and fast standard. So right now, we've put together a little bit of a punch list on some of the stuff we intend on working on. The brunt of our work right now, above and beyond just introducing the committee and new members to various associations, agencies, departments, stakeholders, et cetera, has been working on the Bennington 1 election issue with the ballots that were sent out incorrectly. So that has taken up a lot of our time outside of the introductions and opening report reviews, et cetera. So that's really where the majority of our work is spent. We did vote out that bill we discussed on Tuesday, which was that Australian ballot language update that gives guidance to municipalities that do not have a charter or do not have their elections for town meeting day laid out in their charter. So this is giving them a path on how to appropriately navigate the procedure from town meeting day into voting day. So we'll be reporting that. I'll be reporting that on the floor Tuesday, second reading, third Wednesday. So as we discussed, Tuesday, you should have it by the end of next week.
Matt and I plan to meet every Tuesday morning at 9 to, again, continue the connection here. It seems only efficient that if one side is considering an issue or a bill, they should be able to do that to completion. And then that way we're not sort of doing the same work twice. I didn't know whether you were planning on, and maybe you don't know, suspending rules to get it. You said second reading Tuesday. It seems to be something that the Secretary of State's office felt was important enough to get through quickly, certainly before town meeting day. So I think you have a chance anyway to suspend the rules, take it up for third reading that same day and then get it across. But I'll leave that up to.
No, that's actually a great point. I'll raise that point to the speaker and the majority members to make sure that, but yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
And it's one, I think, that is nonpartisan with a big capital N. It doesn't seem like there's any controversy on either side regarding those provisions. So I think you said it best. It's like this far away from being a technical change at this point. It's really not a substantial change. So I don't see our side holding it up any longer than I think we can get it done next week too, and then ship it off. And there you go.
I've never known the league, the clerks and the Secretary of State to sit down at a table so fast and just give thumbs up. Like it was very efficient and support was broad. So yeah, no red flags.
I counted up today. House members have managed to generate, I think, almost 100 bills so far this year. I think it's 95 and counting. Good job, Bob. And the Senate is about 25. And again, given the disparate number of people, that's not to be unexpected. We have not considered one bill yet on the Senate floor. Nothing has come out of committee that I'm aware of. So we have no second readings even scheduled for, well, we may at the end of the today have something coming Tuesday, but right now we haven't considered anything. So we're kind of like wide open and that's where we are. I don't know whether you're in a little more progressive stance on bills or not.
I mean, with us, right now, I mean, we're just really like evaluating stuff that's coming in. And one of the things I've worked with Chair McCarthy last year and in other committee environments is pulling different bills, to efficiently bundle when it makes sense. I've actually been a fan of like the miscellaneous header practice. So you can kind of network things into them as they come. So while you're working on it, something that pops up, that's a good idea, as long as it's obviously germane included. Very open to that conversation once the bills, go back and forth with you to continue that process, just because we have such limited time and limited resources. That's just a practice that I've seen work reasonably functional.
Good. Would there be any interest with the House Committee for us to do this once a month?
Yep.
Kind of thing?
I think it would be helpful.
Okay.
Well,
Yes.
particularly on bills that we're going to share closely and where there is a presentation from a group that's just going to make the same presentation to us. We know we're going to have a joint hearing together on the National Guard sexual assault annual report. So we always do that as a joint thing, but reports like that are coming to both our committees, it saves our staff time, it saves the presenters time, and all we need to do is walk down the hall. So
Yeah.
I would encourage us as much as possible to take advantage of that.
Governmental efficiency.
And actually, Senator, one thing I wanted
Elon Musk.
to raise with you is we actually have two portfolios in our jurisdiction that are not Gov Ops, but are the committee that you chair, which is the Department of Liquor and Lottery and Cannabis.
I would love to do the same thing.
Yes, so let's just like keep that going. I've been meaning to check in with you to see who might be the point of contact in those conversations.
You checked in with me, but it's been more like a hip check.
It was a slight like.
Same foot.
Checking from behind.
That's right, that's a penalty.
Nor a cross check.
We got a referee ready to go.
I know, I rely on that man, speedy down the ice.
So a quick question, and a statement, I've reached out to Senator Vihovsky as a vice chair to vice chair to see if she wants to have a conversation every once in a while. So you're vice chair for your committee and your other committee, I would do the same thing about any issues that overlap jurisdiction between this committee and your other committee.
We have a few military pieces that come to economic development, and what don't come to economic development come to us and Gov Ops.
And what don't come to either of them go to finance or tax or education.
Education, I mean, it's a mixed bag. of
It
subject
really
matter.
is a
Yeah.
mixed portfolio.
Jada Jessup.
I went to the joint meeting for Ed and Ways and Means this morning, and they were suggesting like we're gonna have the materials that they consider about legality of line changes to the districts. I think that's something.
Yeah, I just saw
Put
that.
right on the plate.
Oh, I didn't realize we were involved.
I didn't think we were looking at
Didn't we just do that a couple of years ago?
If you thought we weren't gonna be involved, then you
You may have
didn't.
had somebody lobbying for that coming here, right there.
Yeah.
When I talked to Representative Conlon about it this morning, after Representative Hoover brought it up yesterday, he was actually kind of working on a breakdown of where different pieces were gonna have to go jurisdictionally, and he definitely was very clear that there was gonna be a notable amount of work for them, the Gov Ops committee in and around the district structures.
Oh, wow, interesting.
I mean, we're essentially like reapportioning school districts in a sense, right? We're going from X
Yeah.
amount to another amount. It's, and then that, however, they're designated as I mean, it almost feels like it's got like a municipal corporation vibe to it.
Mhm.
And I'm being very baseline without talking to council or anyone yet, but that's kind of the sense I'm getting as to why this jurisdictionally our thing.
Wild.
So, yes. I forgot your first name, I'm sorry.
It's okay, it's Shay.
Shay.
Waters Evans. I just wanted to point out and that we have heard bill introductions from a couple of towns for charters already.
Oh, good.
I know, they're really getting on it before town meeting even. So we have a couple that we've heard that seem fairly simple. So if you all are looking for something to do, maybe we will.
What an idea. Town charters before town meeting.
I know, it's wild. We're just getting after it over
I
here.
mean, the ones that are, really just doing maintenance to their charters and doing some simple stuff, like we're just trying to move a couple of things promptly so we don't get backed up later when it's crunch time. So
That's a great idea. Thank you, Shay. I
Just
do
taking
have,
over charters in case you hadn't guessed.
I did have one question. I don't know
Fine, sorry, sorry.
for the question on the executive order.
yeah,
We began to take testimony yesterday on, and it's very complicated to my way of thinking. I'm trying to figure a way to just sit down and think with some common sense what we're being asked to do. Well, we had Tucker in Anderson, and we spent an hour going over how this might eventuate. There's a disagreement between the lawyers. He's of the opinion that I believe if one of the chambers chooses not to approve the resolution in one fashion or another, it's done. It will not happen. The administration secretary feels very strongly that it would take both chambers in order to send it down. I don't know what that means in terms of us going forward. The other thing, and I'm sure Matt is well aware, if we don't do anything, if it sits on the wall for 90 days, it automatically becomes law without a vote. So I think it only makes sense, at least, and I'm trying to be as open and fair and give everybody an equal chance at everything that comes before my committee. I think we should take it up, and I think we should take some testimony. And if we get it to a favorable vote out of the committee, then it goes to the floor and we could have a different result on the floor. I don't know. So we scheduled some more testimony. Jen Morrison, the commissioner, will probably come in. Sarah Clark from the administration to sort of outline, okay, why did the administration feel this was a good thing to do? What are the kind of negative pieces to it? The VSEA, I have a feeling, might have a different version or a feeling about it. Not saying that they might, but I think they will. And so at some point, and I was hoping that you guys would take it up first, quite frankly, but I don't know.
I got Bennington.
Yeah.
No, so I did have a conversation with both the clerk and Tucker about that, if it's both chambers as perceived or a singular as spoken to. So I understand a little bit as to where the difference of opinion is. I mean, I don't want to get out over my skis here, but I did read the statute and I thought the statute actually spoke pretty clearly.
It did.
Yeah. But if you want to poke at that first and just keep us in the loop as to
So I
what.
think we're committed to poking first.
Yeah, I think you are too, but I was trying to be nice.
I'm not necessarily looking forward to poking, but
But just for new members, it takes two chambers to positively affirm a legislative action. And the contention here and the difference is, but does it take one to say no? And in confirmations, it only takes one to say no. We're exploring the separation of powers at the Supreme Court at the moment. That case is now on an expedited form at the Supreme Court. But so we already have something that we live with one chamber saying no. So it's interesting. But the other thing is, and something we did this 2 years ago, Brian and I worked on this bill coming out of the House and then, out of the Senate, and then it sort of died in this committee. The bill to unite the agency and to create the agency out from the commission, from the department. The one thing we didn't ask for was a fiscal note, because moving everybody to an agency, there's big salary increases. that will go on. And we this time are asking for a fiscal note on this executive order.
I mean, just the rebranding expense on changing the name.
There's,
It's gotta be pretty elevated.
that's a piece of it. But we have, and for the new members, what I meant to say is, we've already done this as a bill. So it's curious that they have chosen to push it forward as an executive order when we've already done this work as a bill. And the last time we had this merger was with liquor and lottery, and we said no to the executive order. But then in fact, we then followed up and did a bill and a task force in the summer, and we then did merge liquor and lottery the year later.
Now, does the case that the Supreme Court is considering, would that decision have an impact on this conversation with the separation of powers dynamic? And I know I'm asking a question that's for one of our lawyers to answer.
I think that was more narrow in scope. It had to do with appointments.
Yeah.
So we have had 3 appointments referred to our committee. Sarah Clark, who's the Secretary of the Agency of Administration, and then 2 members, proposed members of the State Police Advisory Commission. And we held off voting because we wanted to wait until the Supreme Court ruled one way or another as to whether the governor had the authority to do that. And we haven't heard anything from the Supreme Court yet, so I don't know how soon they will make their decision.
It will be an expedited decision, so that'll mean sooner rather than later,
Yeah.
hopefully.
And we've interviewed, or will have by next week, the 3 candidates, so that it won't take us long to just say, hey, remember when we were talking to individual expert vote kind of thing.
Makes sense.
That's really all I got, unless,
I know all of our committees have talked about priorities. Do you have the priorities that from this committee that you're willing to share? Because we can.
No, sure. I mean, we normally start the OPR bill. We're planning on doing that. We normally do an elections bill in the first year of the biennium. We've got some rough ideas and a, request in the queue, but really haven't started framing it out in depth yet. Other than that, I wanted to keep doing the work, the continuation of S310 last year, the emergency response preparedness type of conversation.
Yes.
I am waiting to hear from a couple of agencies on policy points. They've been promising us that they'd get them to us. And I think next week might be the week. But I already have draft requests in with Ledge Council, so we have the vehicle.
If you think about doing an update on our resiliency bill and preparedness bill and municipal support bill 310, Mr. Chairs, maybe that would be, if there's an update and a follow-up on that, maybe that would be a good joint meeting too.
Yeah, no, because I think understanding where we're at right now with what we're trying to do to get more continuity within municipalities, the little bit of county we have, the guard, whether the event is natural or occurs because of a human reaction, action. There's just a big need within the first responder community and municipalities to have more I don't want to say a prompt response time, but just more effective communication and understanding what the supports are and what we're doing when the events happen. The theme is great showing up in the beginning, but it's sort of down the path where it seems there's frustrations with the public, and seeing that brief conversation with Doug Farnham about trying to address that sort of lag in the support. And that's one of the things I'm waiting to hear from. We had a great brief conversation, but I got no details. But we all have the same shared desire.
Well, we all have the same towns that haven't been repaid. I mean, we all have towns that haven't been repaid, so.
Yeah.
the other thing that it just occurred to me, I don't know what the official name of the committee was, County Governance Advisory.
Yeah.
By default, as I mentioned at my committee yesterday, Matt and I are now co-chairs of that because of certain circumstances that happened. I went ahead and asked the 2 Senate members, Senator Norris and Senator Harrison, whether they would want to continue in that capacity, and they both said yes. So our side is constituted. I think there was one House member that also was on the committee that didn't come back.
Yeah, I gotta figure out we gotta figure out what to do with that appointment. I think that's a speaker thing. And just having an agreement, we got an agreement that worthy to continue pursuing. The RPCs, when we had them in last week, actually spoke to that and said that they wanted to see that.
They want to keep it going.
They want to keep it going. Yep. So.
We're gonna have to push the deadline for the report out. I think there's a report due in November of this year.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. There were 3 meetings out of the 10 that were authorized, but the last one was like October, so.
So maybe like addressing like the dates and a couple of the other nuances could be in that emergency response bill. And then we can work on the details, but maybe push the report out to like one of the January 15th or something by a couple of months.
So if there's anyone else in here that wants to be on that committee, that would be good,
Yeah.
but that's up to them.
We'll go for another one member later.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I quickly put my hand down again, and I thought you were asking about the RPC and regional thing. I do not want to be on that. Love the concept.
Thought you were jumping in.
Was not jumping in on that.
Anything together in years.
I know, I could, but I'll let you guys handle this one. So you have H81 on your wall around, that's Representative Hedrick's bill, I believe, around reducing the likelihood of mass deportations is my understanding, is kind of the concept there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a similar bill that will be introduced in the House, introduced in the Senate. I chose to delay introduction for this week due to circumstances with the Border Patrol agent who was tragically is no longer with us. I chose to delay the introduction of that bill until next week, just knowing the circumstances. And I believe it will end up in judiciary on our side. It's a very similar. Yeah.
Surprised that showed up.
So I'm wondering, are you planning to address that bill or that concept, or?
We have not discussed it. All the bill activity starts with a conversation with Representative Hango, Waters, Evans, myself. We're really working as a trio with those decisions.
Okay.
And that bill showed up yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
When you come to some conclusion about that would be helpful, because I was fine with it going to judiciary on our side. I wasn't going to try to advocate for anything different, but if you choose to start working on it, then I'm not quite sure where that puts me. It's two very similar concepts.
We do an agenda planning meeting every Tuesday morning, so we'll take that up when we look at the other ones and give you a read on this.
Yeah, I think our judiciary will take significant, I think they're very interested in looking at the bill that we have on our side, so. It may. Start time too. Cool. And we did have a really good conversation with General Knight the other day. And one of the pieces that we discussed with him was use or deployment of National Guard troops in relation to mass deportations. And the ready reserve being called up for emergency order the day after the inauguration, basically allowing for the federal government to use National Guard without authority, like General Knight. And we were all in the room, so if I'm misspeaking Senator Hart or Senator Clarkson, but my understanding was he would not be in control of the Vermont National Guard at that point. It would
that's a federal, that's correct.
I do think we should have conversations as government operations committees about, is there something we can do to prevent the use of our National Guard troops to carry out mass deportation activities if it comes to that. So that is a conversation at some point, hopefully not.
Yeah, no, so we looked at a federal mobilization directives after January 6th. In and around that, and the conversations that we had with council, working off of like a 4-year-old memory right now. If I remember correctly, I don't believe there was a lot we could do. And it's just federally speaking.
Correct.
Just the Posse Comitatus Act, I believe. Yeah.
Senator Clarkson.
We actually can support our dairy industries and our farming industries nationally and in the state to lobby hard in Washington to rein some of it in, because we are going to have a huge cost and production impact if this happens in food production in particular.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just telling you what the federal law
So-
says.
No, but we can actually be urging the lobbying groups we are very well aware of to pushing their counterparts in DC to be thoughtful of the food impacts and inflation impacts, all of which we're all trying to avoid.
But yeah, so we have the guard coming in next week for the same thing that you had the other day.
Okay,
So we'll touch on that a little bit then. I have had one-on-one conversations with General White over the last couple of months.
Yeah.
About these, just as the conversations became more, real, right? So I have communicated with him on it. So, but we'll do it formally with the committee when he's in next week.
Anybody else want to bring anything up? You look pensive, Jay.
90 days, you say, goes into law?
No activity.
Yeah, but yeah, could be a choice.
That's kind of like the 5 days on the bill and it just goes,
Yeah.
it's just a bigger runway.
The only thing I would add is that I don't want to put her on the spot. We shouldn't have to turn on her screen, but we should wave to our friend Lucy Boyden.
yeah.
Hi, Representative.
It's infirm and she'll be back.
I was
She had an accident skiing and is recovering from a knee surgery.
Oh, no, Lucy, we're so sorry.
So,
Thank you.
Oh, she's there.
Lucy, I'll call you later for a check-in.
Okay, I'm doing okay.
I hope the run was worth it.
And we were having a lot of fun, so yeah.
One before it probably was.
Yeah.
But,
One before it probably was.
oh, yeah.
but
Even this one might have
I
been
very much
pretty bad.
agree with the consistent, like maybe once a month. I think that's a great idea.
It could be even more often. We have 4 days every week and we could sort of devote, I'm not suggesting every week, but
Right.
we only have, if we're gonna meet every other or every month, we only have like 3 of those left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it makes
I even
sense.
go for bi-weekly.
Yeah.
I mean,
Even if we're, when we know we're working on bigger pieces, we're kind of working in like teams on bills. So whoever is the point person over in your committee,
Yeah.
we can have those people stay in touch and like keep them coordinating as they're working on the minutia
Mhm.
as it moves,
Sure.
something of that nature.
But
Well, we're generously offering up our palatial atmosphere here. We still have to talk about who's responsible for bringing the lunch.
oh, that's a key.
Well, we do think
Matt
on
yes,
the host.
I still hold a catering license and an EIN number.
And we
know
hope
this.
to keep
Yeah. Yeah, they get out there.
Just back the trailer up to the window there.
I think Abby Group would have something to say. I'm sure there's something in their contract that wouldn't allow me to do that.
That was a one-off.
But I mean, without getting like granular on stuff, I mean, it's, we all know the big bills that we always move, right? And then is the things that pop up that aren't those, I feel really comfortable about us staying in a good communication stream and all that. I'm really excited to work with you and everyone else. I mean, members of your committee I've known for years, except for this fine gentleman who I met today. But yeah, I got a good vibe on this.
Yeah,
Times
I'm
two.
really excited.
Really happy to meet you all. Yes, Senator Hart.
I did talk with Chief Superior Judge Tom Zonay today,
Uh-huh.
and they will be taking up those Vermont State Police advisory people. They'll be taking them up today and Tuesday. So
I don't understand what you mean by taking them up.
they're gonna be taking up and looking at them and interviewing them or whatever, like we did.
I would have thought that already happened.
Yeah, they haven't done it yet.
I didn't.
Isn't that sort of the cart
Disappointed.
or the horse before the cart? I mean, I don't,
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but I
why
got
were they referred to Lark?
today. Plus, he gave me a email here, State versus Pratt, on the bail reform. You know, to look at it and see if we want to do a bail reform.
That wouldn't be our.
That would
When
be
the committee, we're gonna give that to judiciary.
I just want to make it clear, although at the press conference that Senator White attended, there was reference made to bail. Bail can only be changed through a constitutional amendment.
That's exactly
You
here.
can't do it just by putting a statute in. So, and with this biennium, there are no constitutional.
Yeah, and that's what it says here on the Pratt, state versus Pratt, it says that.
Okay.
Yeah, I just read it, so.
Conditions of release, a whole different.
Yeah, exactly.
Bail, there's only one reason you can impose bail, and that's if the judge feels that person won't show up.
Yeah. That's what it says right here.
Okay, well, then we agree. Anything else? Okay. Your, my Senate committee is lucky you have a 15-minute break between now and 2:00.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Have a great weekend.